kiosk up ahead. Just keep moving.
If you enjoy your experience, please tell your friends, and feel free to visit one of the many Mysteriums now open around the city. Our free trial ends soon.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm sure he will. Now to customize your experience. As you look at these images, I want you to think about your future, your hopes and your dreams. Ah, yes. I'm getting good data. And we're done.
No way!
Enjoy the show. Don't worry, I'll be watching and listening. If at any time you begin to feel uncomfortable,
a lot of
just
parts
let us
now,
know.
and these are 5 things that you
Enjoy
can
your
do
dream
to make
come
your
true.
installation a lot
Alright, let's get it.
protection film. So the most important thing, I think, in paint protection film is going to be your prep. A lot of people try to get into the installation aspect of it right away, but here's the thing. The more time you spend on the prep side, the easier your installation is going to be. So first tip is going to be in the prepping stage is you have to use a clay bar. What clay bar does is it removes the contaminants and all these things off the basically surface and removes it so it's a little bit more smooth when you actually install the film. So you do need to use some clay bar. I typically use a lighter grade. I don't use coarse or medium. I just use the lightest grade, and typically that's more than enough to be able to do it. If you're a professional, you might even consider polishing it prior to that, but not everybody is going to have a polisher, so I'm going to skip that one. You also want to wipe down. So let's work on this. I first start by wiping it down, right? And then basically inspecting it before getting started. And then once you wipe it down, you want to get what we call slip solution, which is going to be soap, which is going to be my blue bottle. And I'm going to spray it all down and squeegee it down. So you can use a larger squeegee to make sure it's a clean squeegee and get all the water off. That's your last final contamination-free way of installing, but you do that prior to actually putting the film so that, there's going to be dust that settles around, which gets me to the next point. When you're installing, what we actually do is you could use a sprayer like this, or you could actually use a keg or something like that, a larger sprayer. But what you want to do is sometimes people even use a mister, right? But you want to spray around your area. Other than you also want to clean your floor and all that stuff, but you do want to spray some of the solution around the area so it kind of gets all the dirt down as well and brings it down to the ground. And the floor is wet, just be careful, don't slip, and you should be good to go. So the next tip is going to be wheel cover. So right here, I already have the wheel cover, and this is really important. You can clean the wheel as much as you want. Here's the thing though, it is incredibly dirty. No matter how much you clean it, it's still gonna have a lot of dirt there. So you just wanna make sure that you cover it up so when you're actually spraying in that area and so on, you're not disturbing some of that dirt to come up and land on the surface, which is gonna cause a lot of sadness when you see a little speck of dirt after you're done installing. The next thing is going to be, you wanna make sure you remove everything that you need to. I always err in the caution of not removing if you don't have to. But let's say you could remove it, it takes you a very short amount of time, then it might be an option for you to remove some things. It just depends on the type of car that you're installing. So lastly, in the prepping stage, one thing that you do want to do is get all your films ready. So what you want to do is measure all the sizes for what you need if you're bulking, or if you're actually using template, have it all cut, have it labeled, bring it here. That way you're not installing, going back, cutting it again, bring it back, and so on. You're not multitasking all of that, so just get it all ready, get it all labeled, bring it here, and have it ready. We actually use a giant trash can, those Rubbermaid ones, and then basically put it all labeled so that we can just keep going and the team can just keep going. So another really big tip is going to be mastering the slip and tack solution. So for those of you who are just learning, slip is going to be usually water and soap solution. In my case, I actually use 7th generation dishwash soap. I like it because there's no smell, I don't know. I like it for that reason. There's other people that use Dawn soap. They use baby shampoo. I don't really like the smell, so that's why I go with this. It works really well for me. So the ratio that I typically use, and in our kits, for if you're using a DIY kit, we actually put it in the slip solution packets. You just cut it up. It's exactly 5 ml. So that's where I get to the point. This is a 1,000 ml bottle. For every 1,000 ml, I put 5 ml. That's typically my starting point. Depending on the type of film that you're using, they will have their own recommendation. But I think 5 ml over 1,000 ml is usually a good standard to start with. You can go minus 1, 2 mLs plus minus 2, depending on the type of film that you're using. For tack solution, you're going to be using, I like putting in a red bottle. So blue is always slip for me, and then red is always tack. By the way, water does matter. So typically you want to use completely filtered water. So we have a reverse osmosis water system and filtered water. So we use that. You can use distilled water, and you could buy it from Walmart or really any store like Walgreens and all that stuff. Those are fine as well. But you want to put 800 ml of water, and 200 is typically alcohol. And we use 70% isopropyl. I cannot say things today, but iso alcohol. And typically that's good enough. 90% is a little bit too harsh, and if you do that, you have to do some math and the ratio. So just stick with a 70%. That's a lot more common anyway. That will actually activate adhesive, make it more aggressive, and then it will actually allow the film to stick a lot better. Again, this also matters depending on the type of film. I'm giving you a general, I guess, benchmark of how it's typically mixed. Now, a lot of times I think they're very unclear. It's like they say like use 1 bloop or 2 bloop. I think there's not really a measurement, so I'm giving you these measurements, right? So 800 ml water, 200 ml, 70% iso alcohol. On the slip, you're going to use, for every 1,000 ml, use 5 ml of the clear dish soap, and you should be good to go. So another tip, a big hack, is going to be don't over squeegee. So squeegeeing is very different. If you're coming from color vinyl, which is a PVC-based film, compared to a polyurethane, which is a TPU-based film, it's going to be different. So in vinyl wrappers, what they do is they have a much more smoother stroke. So it looks really good on camera. They go like this, and it kind of just gets all the air pockets out and stuff. This is kind of what it looks like in PPF. You're doing like more stabby motions, shorter motions. The reason is you're kind of carrying all the water underneath it out. But one really big tip, especially when you're learning, is don't pet it. Don't pet the film, right? But also don't muscle it. And when you do this, look at this. I'm actually doing that. It actually marks the film. So you don't want to mark the film like that. You just want to do one motion and kind of stop into it instead of just holding it down in one area like that. And these marks can potentially just stay there forever. So you want to be very careful about finding the right balance. So before you actually do a car, I do think it's a really good exercise to get pieces of film like this and practice some of that squeegee. Am I going too hard? Am I going too light? Am I being too aggressive and kind of stabbing it into the film, or am I good? But really what you want is shorter motions. And I like holding it kind of like the vinyl squeegee. You do want to hold it more evenly like this with the 4 fingers. This is a wider squeegee. This is perfect for the hood. But what that does is it makes it even pressure across all 4 inches of that, right? So that when you're holding down, you can do that. Sometimes people like to do the 2 hands, and actually I like doing that, especially when you're pulling, right? So you're pulling, and you can do that. And then the other tip that I will show you is you want to make sure, if you notice, I sprayed slip solution on the top layer. Why is that important? You have to lubricate the top layer, because if you don't, it will drag, which can thus damage the actual film. So once you get there, you can actually use 2 fingers like this and use a little bit more force than you would normally. It'll get a little bit more even pressured using the 2 hands rather than using just 1 hand. But if you are, you can still use the 4 fingers distributed across a little bit more evenly and then go down where you need to go. So the other thing is going to be when you're doing this, just one thing to watch out for is don't drag the film. Well, part of it is you need lubrication. So if you don't have enough, it's going to drag the film. You can see it's kind of rough. It's not gliding through. And then once I spray some of that slip solution, it glides through and it's a lot more smoother as it goes. So get some practice. Get a couple pieces before you get started. It's really good practice to just kind of get in that motion of it. But again, you're not doing long strokes, but rather smaller stroke. I do about 6 to 8 inches at a time, and then always overlap. So if I'm doing this area, do this, and then I do a 50% overlap, right? 50%, 50%, right? And you want to do that, and then while you're doing that, you can actually watch the surface so that you're making sure that you are doing it right. But here's the thing, for this next tip and hack, I think this could be a little bit controversial. So there is two types of ways you can install it. The first is using bulk method, and bulk method means essentially grabbing a giant piece, 60 by 60 inches, getting it across the hood. The hood actually is a little bit easier on the bulking process. The other way is actually using templates. So these are computer designed, they're 3D scanned, and then 2D flattened, and then basically it fits. And we actually create our own templates. So for people who are learning and starting out, I do recommend actually starting with templates for the most part. Some people can say, look, I tried template, it doesn't work. And there's going to be that group, I think, that says that. But I do think for the most part, it does teach you some of the mechanics of stretching and stretching the right way. Because when we typically design the templates, we design in a way that you're supposed to stretch properly. So I do think that it gives you kind of that knowledge in the beginning. And the other thing is, a lot of times, and then I do a 50% overlap, right? 50%, 50%, right? And you want to do that 4 fingers, which can thus damage the actual film. So once you get there, you can actually use 2 fingers like this and use a little bit more force than you would normally. It'll get a little bit more even pressured using the 2 hands rather than using just 1 hand. But if you can still use the 4 fingers distributed across a little bit more evenly and then go down where you need to go. So the other thing is going to be when you're doing this, just one thing to watch out for, don't drag the film. Well, part of it is you need lubrication. So if you don't have enough, it's going to drag the film. You can see it's kind of rough. It's not gliding through. And then once I spray some of that soap solution, it glides through and it's a lot more smoother as it goes. So get some practice. Get a couple pieces before you get started. It's really good practice to just kind of get in that motion of it. But again, you're not doing long strokes, but rather smaller stroke. I do about 6 to 8 inches at a time, and it always overlaps. So if I'm doing this area, do this, and then I do a 50% overlap, right? 50%, 50%, right? And you want to do that, and then while you're doing that, you can actually watch the surface so that you're making sure that you are doing it right. But here's the thing, for this next tip and hack, I think this could be a little bit controversial. So there is two types of ways you can install it. The first is using bulk method, and bulk method means essentially grabbing a giant piece, 60 by 60 inches, getting it across the hood. The hood actually is a little bit easier on the bulking process. The other way is actually using templates. So these are computer designed, they're 3D scanned, and then 2D flattened, and then basically it fits. And we actually create our own templates. So for people who are learning and starting out, I do recommend actually starting with templates for the most part. Some people can say, look, I tried template, it doesn't work. And there's going to be that group, I think, that says that. But I do think for the most part, it does teach you some of the mechanics of stretching and stretching the right way. Because when we typically design the templates, we design in a way that you're supposed to stretch properly. So I do think that it gives you kind of that knowledge in the beginning. And the other thing is, a lot of times, you avoid using this thing, which is a knife, which is great. It does a lot of cool things, but at the same time, when you're first learning, cutting is very, very hard. So once you're experienced, you could actually cut, right, on the surface without actually damaging the paint. But for those of you who are starting, that's not a good risk you should take. You should do that in your car before you actually do it on anybody else's car. So I think that's why I think templates are a much better way to go for beginners. And that way you can practice on it. And later on, some cars you might have to bulk because you just don't have a pattern. So I think that's where you're going to get to a point where you get a little bit more reps in. And then later down the line, you can try bulk and then kind of learn from there. But when you get to the end, it gets really exciting because you got all the water bubbles out and the slip solution underneath the film. But here's the thing. If you're doing edges like this, you still need to seal the edges. So one really big tip that we've learned is basically once you are done, what you want to do is spray your tack solution all across the edges. And once you spray tack solution all inside those edges, make sure you spray slip on the top. What you're going to do is seal the edges using the squeegee. And when you do that, it basically makes it so that you're sealing all those edges so the water can go back into the middle part, right? So when you let this sit, maybe on an angle and gravity does its course, basically some of the bubbles will come back up, right? So when you do that, it will actually save a lot of time. So when you come back to it and you finish your fender and you come back to it, you're not going to see bubbles all around the edges. For some films, and for sometimes, if we're in a rush, you could even actually fold over the edges as well. So for some of them, you might be able to already immediately actually just fold it over and then make sure that edges are good, right? So this one wasn't properly cleaned. So you see this dirt right there. So this is for demo purposes. So the edges are not really going to be, look at all that stuff, are not going to sit. But by doing this, we can ensure that the water is going to sit there. I mean, not sit there, but basically be sealed from going into that surface. So that's one of the tips. The other thing is for edges, once you get to that point, if you wanted to move forward, you could actually go back to it, dry it, and then you could use a heat gun, and then basically use your wrap glove and then fold it over to ensure that none of the bubbles are there, and then it's completely sealed so you are protected, all edges and everything. PPF is an art, but with some of these tips, I guarantee you, you're going to save a lot of time in terms of learning the process of paint protection film installation. If you have any questions or if some of these tips did help you, let us know in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. We'll try to make a lot.
Hey everyone, Eric here from Reflections. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a bulk hood installation on the full hood of this GMC Sierra. So I've got my edges prepped, I've got the hood clean, I've got a clay bar, wiped down isopropyl alcohol. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start spraying some slip solution on it, and then we're going to get the film on.
Nice! Alright, I'm in it. There it is, yeah! That's what I like. Here it comes, y'all. Let's go! Alright, let's break this down. Yeah, we outside now. I can't hear y'all. Let's bring it home. Boom! Yeah, baby. Let's break this thing down one more time. Turn me up some. Genki's gotta try this. Get ready, y'all.
Lee?
Whoa! How did I do that? Where did Lee go? Is that even real? Right now, analyze later.
Get it out!
Beck, can you hear me?
Yes, we're having a bit of a malfunction.
Obviously!
I'm sorry, we cannot see you. Can you describe what is happening?
I was rocking the club, then a bunch of bad guys showed up. Now they're trying to rock me!
Oh, dear. I hope you're not hurt.
I can hold my own. Can't you just pull the plug or something?
It's not that easy. But we are trying.
Why are Lee and his demons here? Is this all in my head? Beck told me to think about my future when he was creating my illusion. Is this what I was thinking about?
We're almost there. Are you still, holding your own?
Barely!
Sit tight. Just a few more moments.
They said this is my custom dream come true. Maybe more like a nightmare. There's the mixer.
Get to it. Fast. I think if you finish the song, you might hit a break point in the program.
On it.
There. You should see an exit. Make your way to the...
Okay, time to go.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I am very sorry. We will do our best to find out what happened. Until then...
Miles! So, what's up with that?
Oh. The future of entertainment still has some bugs to work out.
Hi, Pete. Cool shirt. Cool shoes. Really cool shoes. Cool everything, really.
Hey, Miles. Thank you.
Guys, this is my best friend, Harry. He just got back from overseas, and he's starting up a new research foundation.
You mean we're starting up a new research foundation? Hey, good to meet you.
New job, huh? Still gonna have time for tutoring?
We'll figure it out.
Shall we?
Actually, that thing back there really messed my head up. Can we dip?
Okay.
Nice meeting you, Harry.
Yeah, you too.
You good?
Yeah. Actually, I'll catch up with you later.
Hey, we should really check in on Miles. Make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Well, they seem nice. Not too bad they're gonna miss out on the best night of our lives, huh? All right, here's the plan. Tonight is the greatest hits album of our childhood, and the top 3 singles, each of our favorite attractions. And, lucky boy, we're starting with you, Pete.
Does that mean...
Must the king of the Hydro Bench defend his throne?
I don't know. Are you ready for that, my liege? Welcome!
All right, let's do this.
Step right up.
You have no idea who you're up against.
Good luck. You'll need it.
Now, Pete, you got this.
All right, players.
Fingers on the trigger, eyes on the target. Harry, what are you doing?
Distracting you. Duh. And it's working.
Oh, that's dirty.
Go, Pete!
You're taking his side?
I don't root for cheaters.
Ooh, burn!
Yes! What?
Yeah,
Hold up! You guys want your prize?
We're good, thanks.
That's just one game. Plenty more to school you at.
Oh, you're on.
Next on our top 3, MJ Watson featuring the Speed Demon.
Yes!
Let's hit the other rides and games on the way. If we do enough of them, we can win something from the prize booth.
I knew I read that somewhere.
God, I hope the Speed Demon is as terrifying as I remember.
Weirdo.
Don't let him shame you, MJ. He's just scared.
You know I'm sensitive about my fear of heights.
Ready for round 2, Pete?
One of us has to be.
Oh, it is
Step
on.
You know you want to play some hoops! You're gonna get stuck in traffic forever.
Swish, swish, bish.
Never knew you were so into basketball, Harry.
With all this energy I've had lately, I'm into everything. Ouch. How embarrassing.
Don't let him get to you, Pete.
Oh, there he is.
Yes! Show him how it's done, Pete!
Not bad, not bad.
One more down. Heading over to Pony Island to pick up my sister. Just gotta make a detour real quick.
So here is the white RX-7 center console. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it looks a little tired. It looks okay, but on the underside, see all this like white stuff right here? This was all the original plastic that cracked off. And so you can see, these are
I know we promised no real life talk, but I need
the back of the screen. And we modified those